There's an ideology that I don't like. That doesn't mean that there are people that automatically, because they think a thing, that I think they're bad people. All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. Hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you, and let's party. So you guys know that whenever we talk about the trans issue, that I find it very important to make sure we differentiate between the people who were pushing the ideology for so long and the people who now, because that ideology has been pushed, are victims of believing in that ideology. There's a difference between somebody who is trying to come for your kids and somebody who believes that being a non-binary, genderkin, whatever is a reasonable way to deal with your life. And I thought it was really cool that we actually, on Alex Jones, he was talking about this, and he had Blaire White on, and they had a very interesting conversation. So let's check it out.
So Blaire's here for the next hour and a half. I appreciate you, fellow Austinite now. Lived here a few years. Great to have you here. You and Michael Malice and Joe Rogan, co-hosting, doing a great job. We co-hosted here about a year ago with Tim Pool. That was amazing.
So fun.
Shout out to
And so I just want to say this up front. There are people that watch this show, and it became a big issue a few months ago, saying Jones is a hypocrite. He hates transgender people. He hates gay people. He hates everybody. But then he's nice to Blaire White. That's all a media lie. I don't care if you're heterosexual, homosexual, whatever you are, black, white, old, young, as long as you're not a communist, as long as you're not targeting children. And Blaire, since I've known Blaire 8 years, was speaking up about this targeting.
Yeah, and there's been people who have given me the pushback of, why am I making that differentiation? It's because I want to be respectful to people. There's an ideology that I don't like. That doesn't mean that there are people that automatically, because they think a thing, that I think they're bad people. And if you don't think that's an important distinction to make, then you need to watch some more of my videos.
Blaire's a good person. So let's talk about you instead of me ranting here. I just want to say you've been my friend since you moved to Austin. Part of this is we see a 270-pound man who looks like Hulk Hogan.
Hey.
And he starts breaking stuff saying it's ma'am.
It's ma'am.
We see that as a fraud. He's a former prisoner. He's a convict. He's doing this because
I didn't know that about the it's ma'am guy, girl, whatever. Of course. Shout out to Amanda, who's relatively new to the channel and the Discord server, which you should definitely join. There's a link in the description. She's been talking a lot about this overwhelming majority, apparently, that it seems to be, of the trans community that is not somebody who is suffering from gender dysphoria, but is the autogynephilia, men who get a sexual fetish from being seen as women. And it seems like it's a lot more of those than, especially the older they are, the more likely they are to be one of these AGP people, rather than the young kids who are just like, oh, that's what's cool. I got to do that to get attention. All right, I guess I'm non-binary.
He's doing this because it lets him be in general population with women. That's a fraud. But we see somebody that has transitioned and a woman by every aspect. And I think people kind of like get like, okay, somebody made that decision because that is actually what they were. And if people can realize if it's not attached to a political thing, we don't hate you. We then go, oh, that makes sense. Blaire White, looks like a woman, is a woman, compared to what these giant men are who just want to be in general population with women in prison.
And that's a specific thing. They now have a, rapid onset gender or rapid onset prison gender dysphoria, whatever the name is. But where you're a man, you've never shown any signs of gender dysphoria, anything, but you get arrested, usually for something serious, usually when you're going to go into prison, and you're like, oh, wait, I'm a woman now. And they send you to the women's prison, and it's a much nicer experience. Why is that an option?
Right. And that's the unfortunate part, is that we have this society that is obsessed with tolerance at all costs, obviously, and inclusion at all costs. And so there are literal, convicts and people who commit crimes, sometimes violent ones, that understand that at the very least, them saying all of a sudden that they're trans is going to maybe not get a sentence reduction, but it's going to place them in a little bit of a nicer prison, going to place them in a little bit of a nicer situation. And, a lot of them are also, that's the other thing. Okay, if we want to go deep, there's really several types of trans people.
Yeah, that is very appropriate.
There are people who felt that way from a very young age and then whatever, like me. And then there are people who do it for a fetish and it's like a sexual thing. And those ones are very different.
And I agree. And there's going to be people that say, actually, there is no difference. This notion that you thought it was something from your when you were young, maybe you were wrong, and then you went down this road, and now you have to be stuck to that belief. That's not really what I'm addressing here. If you want to take that opinion on trans people, that's fine. That's not my personal opinion, but I have no problem with that.
Those are the ones that there's going to end up being.
They're the perverse in the bathroom.
100%. 100%.
That part is absolutely true. Most people who are transitioning, the reason that they want to do it, or most of the people who have gender dysphoria that are transitioning, they want to stop sticking out and they want to feel internally that they fit. Now, again, I reject the premise that you could feel more comfortable as a woman if you've never been a woman. But again, that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the intentions behind what would cause somebody to transition.
Whereas for me, there was nothing ever sexual about it. It was just about who I was and what I wanted to do.
I mean, I would say, like, you put you in front of 10,000 people, they say that's a woman. Do you think it was the chemicals that because we know the studies are there that embryonically put you that direction?
I'm not writing it off. I mean, I've thought about it a lot. I think like, okay, so what caused this? Because it's clearly an anomaly, right?
Yeah, and so I think what Alex Jones is talking about is, there's and we know Alex Jones is Alex Jones, so take whatever he's saying with a grain of salt. But other people have also been saying things like the plastics that we've been using have leased endocrines into the water supply, and it's changing the hormone profile of people, and that's why we're seeing a lot more of this and stuff. And it seems reasonable. Like, it seems reasonable. Anything besides the fact that all of a sudden half or a fifth of a generation is in the wrong body seems more reasonable.
Even at best, the trans community.
But we shouldn't be mad at you for that. This is who you are.
Right. I mean, a society has room for anomalies. I think the problem is when you try to make anomalies normal. And by definition, it's not normal.
Whoa, that is
absolutely. Anomalies are okay. It's when you try to make the anomaly the norm. It is the exception that proves the rule. We have the exceptions of people who don't or feel like they don't fit in their body, whatever. Go ahead, be happy, do whatever you need to do. But that does not change the rule that there are men and that there are women. And even if you want to go away from the gender binary and say that there's men and there's women and there might be some overlap. You got your intersex people, you got your Kleinfelders. It's still man and woman. If you're somewhere in between, you are an anomaly. That is not the norm.
Say that is heavy. Exactly. I don't hate the anomaly that's obviously legitimate.
Yep.
I hate a forced thing on our children.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
They can understand that a society is always going to have anomalies. There's going to be people that don't fit into certain expectations. And
that's okay.
The disarray comes when you try to normalize it to the extent of teaching it in schools, putting it in curriculum. It's one thing to teach your kids that when they, as they go through life, they're going to see people that are different than them or gay or trans or whatever. It's another to be like, so what do you identify as to a 4-year-old? Like, that's nuts. It's planting a seed of doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So, being anomaly isn't normal. And I don't think not being normal is a bad thing. Like, you're not normal.
Definitely not. We know the chemicals in the water and the food are affecting embryos in their mothers, particularly in the first few weeks, that are changing, at least in brain physiology, the minds of children. And it changes the minds of frogs, fish, other.
The turn of the frogs gay. So obviously, again, I know that aspect of the turn of the frogs gay, which happened to be kind of correct if you actually look into it. There's a lot here to give legitimacy to people who may have a different opinion, a different perspective on life than you. But we can agree that some things are wrong and some things we may not agree with, but they're okay. Those are two different things. So definitely go check out the rest of the video, but let me know, what did you think about what they were saying? What do you think about this differentiation? Do you think that is appropriate? Or is it just everybody in the same group? They're all coming for your kids. They're all bad. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. Once again, I have been your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, I am out of here. Peace.